Is it possible that Lee Shaw could still be alive? And if so, is he the key to building a defense system more effective than even Mechagodzilla? Are we looking at the most powerful defense force that humans have ever seen against the Titans? When the first season of Monarch ended, a few dangling plot threads were left up in the air, and with the confirmation that a second season is on its way, we are left to wonder what happened in the aftermath of the first season. One of the most pertinent questions is what exactly happened with Lee Shaw, and whether or not he is still alive. So today, Heralds of the Titans, let's talk about the idea, as well as the future of the Titan hunting in the Monsterverse. When we last left Colonel Shaw, he was helping May and the Rondas to escape a pocket of the Hollow Earth known as the Axis Mundi. They did this by having a Titan enter the rift, which would then tow them out upon escaping. In doing so though, Colonel Shaw had to get out of the vessel in order to repair the wiring that was giving off the gamma pulses, which acted as bait for the Titan. As they were towed though, he was left behind, but it's unclear whether or not he survived the fall, and more specifically, whether or not he was high enough to actually die on impact. No further information is given regarding whether or not Shaw actually survived this fall, but given the height of the rift, it's more than possible that he did survive, and since we never actually saw him die, it's an option worth considering. Now it's a matter of whether or not he can survive in this domain long enough to either escape or be rescued by someone else, which seems likely given the circumstances. Last time he was down here, he was able to survive for a week, which translated to 20 years of time on the surface, so he would only have to survive for a few days in order to be reintroduced soon. If he is still alive, then it's likely that we won't see him again for several years to come, given on how time dilation works within the Hollow Earth. We know that Keiko Rhonda spent what she believed was 57 days there, but almost 60 years had passed on the surface. Likewise, as we mentioned, Lee himself lost 20 years by spending just a week down there in the same region. So if Lee is to emerge in the present day, then he can't spend more than a few days working out an alternate escape plan or a rescue, since the ship they were using to escape is topside again, and since Lee has to make his way to the surface within just a few days, then the most likely option seems to be that a rescue party is sent back to the present day. If they are able to recover Colonel Shaw before too much time has passed for him, then he could play a major role in Monarch Season 2 or post-New Empire. But what's particularly interesting about this predicament is that it seems to have opened an entirely new region within the Hollow Earth. Human operatives have ventured into the Hollow Earth several times in the mainline films, both in Godzilla vs. Kong and in the New Empire, yet none of them give any mention to the idea of time dilation. Sometimes humans will spend days on end down in the Hollow Earth, and as we know that an entire Monarch outpost was constructed down there to develop the Beast Gauntlet. Yet, nobody ever mentions even minor time dilation that ships them off by a few hours. Therefore, it seems that Shaw is the primary explorer of the completely new region within the Hollow Earth known as the Axis Mundi, and that Axis Mundi so far is the only region of the Hollow Earth responsible for this phenomenon. Another interesting detail that needs to be brought up is that it's also inconsistent mathematically between the two instances. For Keiko, 1 day was roughly equal to 1 year, while for Shaw, 1 day was closer to 3 years, which implies that there are magnitudes based on where in the Axis Mundi someone is. If Shaw is alive, then he might be one of the leading experts on traversing this region of the Hollow Earth, and with the help of Keiko, an Apex, or Monarch, they could begin to chart the time dilation which occurs down there. This means that we could be looking at a major shift in the status quo, given that humans have that power and can finally stand a chance against the Titans. We've known of artificial Titan programs, such as Mechagodzilla and the Titan Hunter, each of which were built with the intention of defending humanity against the unpredictability of the Titans. While each of these programs were eventually corrupted and turned villainous, the intention is clear. Humanity needs a controllable defense measure against the Titan forces. We cannot only rely on Godzilla and Kong, and this could actually be the key to that. This creates a frontier to explore in the coming years, and could even be used as a way to imprison violent Titans without having to worry about them terrorizing humanity for years at a time. If Monarch can find a way to restrain Titans that they are unable to kill, and cast them into the Axis Mundi, then depending on how quickly they can break free from whatever bonds Monarch constructs, they may not emerge for decades at a time. Now the governments of the world don't have to look for a way to kill Titans. Instead, they just have to lure them into the Axis Mundi, which they've already done before. Early Monarch operatives were able to use atomic weapons to lure Titans whenever they needed them. So if one particular unruly Titan is causing problems, and Godzilla doesn't respond for whatever reason, then we might finally have a way to defend ourselves. All we have to do is lead the violent titan in question into the Axis Mundi access point in order to buy ourselves a couple of years before it emerges again. We could be seeing one of the most effective titan prisons known to man, sturdier than the artificial domain of Skull Island, and worlds beyond anything that's been used against Godzilla before. It's also stated that Kate, May, and Keiko returned 2 years after they disappeared, in the year 2017, the same year that King of the Monsters takes place. This means that Ghidorah's Alpha Call is just on the horizon, and several dozen titans are about to ravage the world at the behest of the false king. If Shaw is present and able to be saved, then it seems like the cast may have to deal with the fallout of King Ghidorah's calamity, and Shaw could play a major role in guiding Monarch towards proper defense operations in the future. They return to Skull Island, which is engulfed in a tropical storm, but for more on that, be sure to check out our video on that. When Godzilla regains control, he reallocates the Titans, ordering them to either return to hibernation or be restricted into their domains. But this doesn't mean that all of them will obey. Godzilla lets Tiamat and Scylla live long after they begin causing problems for him, simply because they weren't a danger to him yet. The operative word being not a danger to him, but a massive danger for us. Threats to Godzilla and threats to humans are two very different ballgames, and if Godzilla doesn't think a Titan is a threat to him, then he might not always come to humanity's aid against more minor threats. He also is not keen on watching humanity build a unit that can challenge an alpha, so building another Mechagodzilla adjacent suit would most certainly not go well and draw the ire of Godzilla. Therefore, this seems to be the best answer that we currently have. Even if Lee did not survive the fall, there is still a massive Titan prison that could be very useful. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this idea? Is Lee Shaw alive? And if so, do you think that he will play a key role in constructing a brand new Titan defense program, more effective than Mechagodzilla? Could this Axis Mundi domain be used to capture rogue Titans? And if so, which of the Titans deserve to be exiled down there for several years at a time? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting the channel today. Atomic blast that subscribe button, and have a great one.